Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with Hunter x Hunter. We are on episode 135, and in the last episode we had a really cool episode that was pretty much dedicated around one whole sort of talking scene, which I wasn't actually aware of at the time. Because I guess it was just that enthralling, even though it just took place between three characters. I mean, that's just obviously a testament to the writing yet again, that between three characters, one of which isn't really a main sort of character, and he's been more like of a side character that has affected certain things along the way. But I really like the episode as a whole. Everything leading up to sort of Meruem kind of losing it a bit, especially of the fact that Shia was pretty much dead to rights. He was going to take the death over actually giving up the information that he did know, and because of that, Meruem almost flipped and almost killed Welfin because of it, which was actually... I was expecting him to die there, and I didn't want him to, because, I mean, he's become one of, he's become, one of my sort of favourite Chimera Ant sort of characters in the show, as aside, obviously, from, Ikalgo and Mello and stuff. I mean, Ikalgo's obviously up there, but Welfin, you know what I mean? I was kind of rooting for him, especially, within the last, few episodes and whatnot. So the fact is that at least he's walking away alive. He's not looking in the best state, but as long as he's alive, that's fine. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see Welfin again. I feel like it's almost like his story, I feel like, is almost wrapped up to a certain point, because now it's just about him going off in the world and trying to find Gyro, which I'm not sure really will come back. Actually, yeah, one of my patrons, Chibi Sphere, actually did say that Gyro is never brought up again, but he did sort of leave the NGL, so there is that. So Welfin might be done for now. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, because of Welfin basically saying Kamugi, the last thing that the one thing that came up into his mind that would have spared his life, even though I figure that he thought he was going to die anyway, but he was just trying to get one last word out. He managed to get Kamugi out. He picked the perfect word to say, or a name, and because of that, Meruem now has all of the memories, and Shia is not in a good place. Now, obviously, if you want to go into my thought process about what I think Shia could possibly do after this point, then you can obviously watch my post discussion in the last episode 134, and I talk about that a bit, because it could go one of two ways, but anyway, yeah, so that's that. I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so yeah, we're just going to get in episode 135 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Actually, yeah, it pretty does. Fuck that out. Whoa. Oh, fucking hell. Oh. All right. I don't even know what to say about that, to be honest. I didn't think it would hit me that hard, to be honest. what was like I'm like still like choking up, like I can't talk properly. It's weird. I don't think I've ever I can't even talk. Can't even talk. That's great, isn't it? When it's, you know, kind of like my job here to talk about it, and I can't talk. Okay. Come on. Right. That hit me hard, that one. That's like unlike any other time I've like teared up at a show. I'm trying to come up with the best way to sort of describe the reason why I think that is. And I think obviously it has something to do with the fact is because he is. Well, first of all, it was a very long arc. That we, you know, saw his sort of conception in a way. Like you could probably even put it back to like, you know, Pockle in some aspects, I suppose, if you go far enough back. I'll just give Pockle like a mention since he was, you know, used as, you know, a way to get Meruem to be born, right? To that degree, you know. So I'll give him that sort of, you know, sort of send off as well. But I mean, we've seen Meruem since he's like his conception in a way, you know. And even though it's a Chimera Ant and they're not like, it's not like a human birth up until this point, but over the course of like such little time in his like life, it just seems like there was so much there that I feel like I've learned this with the Chimera Ants like over time, is that like, and I've said this before, that like it's so easy to forget that like they come out like looking like adults and like almost like they're already grown up, so they should already be experienced. It's like a weird sort of you know, like your brain doesn't, it's so easy for your brain to just dismiss it and think like, oh, because they look that way that they are experienced in a way, but in reality they're not. They're born, and just like any animal that is immediately born, like it runs on instinct, and the Chimera Ants are no different. So I think it's easy to just sit back, and I remember at the beginning of this arc, at the time of recording this, I literally just uploaded episodes 77 and 78, I think, which I believe is literally the first two episodes of the like Chimera Ant arc, or at least like where the Queen's like introduced and like she's getting her food and stuff. And like I remember at the beginning of that, you know, and you're coming off of Greed Island, which is like this bright, almost like, you know, like very lively, nice sort of arc. I know you've got the bomber there, but you know, like relatively compared to the Chimera Ant arc, it's so much different. And I remember the start of this arc and being like, what the fuck is going on here? And you've got kids dying and stuff. And I remember just like I remember like specifically saying at one point, like, go and kill all of these fuckers. I remember saying that because I had just this outright hatred for them, for essentially just being what they are, like just doing what they do. Like there's not really much in terms of sheer hatred like they're doing. I mean, obviously you've got some Chimera Ants that just evolve, I guess, that way. They come out and they like have some sort of entertainment factor to deal with it. But I guess some of that like lines up with like what they were created from, like for instance, Leol, the lion dude, like had like some sort of pride there, that he gets from obviously being like, you know, the queen must have had a lion at some point, and that trait sort of carried over. So you know, with entertainment, there could be like something that carries over from whatever was in there. But generally, my point is that instinct coming out at your sort of conception and working on that, and I remember, yeah, just like hating these things and just wanting them to be extinguished. And that was obviously coming off the back of like Gon being a bit too, what I felt was at the end of the Greed arc being a bit too nicey. And I remember, I think like it was quoted saying, "Gon, I don't want like you forgiving any of these things. Like just go and kill them." And then just paired that with this, like what just happened, like the be all end all of like the Chimera Ants with Meruem, and like breaking down as I did with that is the reason why I think like it caught me so off guard, because it's not like somebody, it's not like a main character that was on our side, you know. It was an antagonist that was so like something as massive as essentially taking over the whole planet, and at the end wanted something so simple to end like his final moments in that, so like that beautiful like way, because of his relationship with Komugi and stuff. I just think the juxtaposition there, like on one side is so, can be, you know, can be like so evil and such a bad thing, from going from that to this was like, I mean, it was just huge. Like, and that's the thing as well, is that it wasn't a case of because he was dying, that was it. Like, I imagine even if he didn't like have that sort of realization that he was, you know, going to die with the poisoning and stuff like that, I feel like with this mentality, I feel like he would have just lived out his life as sort of normal, though I don't know if like the world would have allowed it. So I can't picture a better way to end that arc than how it did. I remember I mean, when Meruem came back, I was so like, I'm not sure if I like this. And then when it was revealed that they were all poisoned and they were going to die anyway, I was like, yes, I like this. And I said at the end of last episode, in 134, I said in the post discussion, like this is what like I wanted, like this is what I pictured, is like his sort of end was to literally like just go and play Gungi with Komugi until he dies, and so it kind of all just, I'm just kind of lost for words, you know. I tried my best to sort of talk it out and everything, but the culmination of that, I think, was perfect, absolutely perfect. I don't know if I'll ever be able like to describe that feeling there that I got at the end. So hopefully it kind of just gets across to you guys, that feeling. I don't know. I'm sure that, you know, you guys that were watching this, you know, had a very similar reaction, if not the same. So yeah. anytime it comes to an episode like this, it's always so difficult to go through my notes, because I'm like, well, how do you? I prefer to end on a note that is worthy, like, and not on something that really doesn't matter relative to what just happened. So it's always hard to like sort of talk about kind of stuff, because coming out of this episode, there's no way you can't go out, like, come to the end of this episode and then talking about how, oh, Bean's returned. You know, you can't do that. And the same, I feel like it happens the same way the other way as well. Like, you come out of the episode, you talk immediately about what just happened, the big thing, and then you can't, like, straight after that go into that as well. So it's tough. I mean, Morel is alive and well. We haven't seen Shoot yet, but I imagine that he's doing, you know, I feel like he'll be doing alright. I don't know where Akalgo went afterwards, because Meruem couldn't pick him up, right, when he was in, like, the room. He said that he thought two of them were, like, he recognised that there were two here, but he couldn't sense Akalgo for some reason. So I don't know where he went. What else? I liked the whole Palms, like, Ant side actually seeping through a bit, because I think it was very surprising when Killua got through to her, and, like, that whole thing between her memories and her emotions and feelings and everything like that, like, sort of shattered. And it was like she was back to normal, but she'd evolved. Like, it's almost like she evolved into a greater sort of stronger, like, physically stronger, just sort of being. But I never figured that the Ant side, like, emotion wise, was still there. So that coming back was really cool. And that's the reason why she was fighting with herself, because when it was happening, I was like, wait a minute, what? I was like, how does that work? Like, why is she so against it? I thought it may have been something of, like, along the lines of she just couldn't deal with, like, you know, like, she doesn't want to admit to herself that she wants to believe this being that has caused, like, this much chaos and this much, like, torment and everything. And I thought it was, like, something along the lines of that, like, similar to what Netero was doing, where he was like, I can't afford myself to empathize or sympathize with this creature. Like, I have to do my job and get it over and done with. So I thought it was something similar to that. But when it was revealed that it was actually her Ant side that was, like, seeping through, obviously, like, instinctually, it's like, no, I can't, like, I can't physically watch the king do this, you know? Like, it doesn't ring, like, it doesn't ring true with the Ant nature. And you know what? I think that almost cemented Shia as a character for me. I think, because I think it's easy with the royal guards to kind of set them aside as bad guys, so you don't it's like you don't want to connect with them, you know. It was easier to do it with Yuppie and Neferpito because they had that sort of change and you saw it as is, whereas Shia seemed to be more, he kept, like, the same wavelength, like, along the whole arc of when he turned up and when he passed away, which obviously passed away off screen. But I think that almost, like, cements Shia's character for me. And I said, like, I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before, where I said I can't wait to finish reacting to this show so I can go through it again, yeah, and just watch it and just enjoy it. That on the second time run through, with all the information that I do know now, how I'll look at the characters sort of differently going in, you know, and on the way up, leading to obviously this episode, because I've been a bit critical of Shia over the past, you know, 10 episodes or however long it's been, you know. and maybe some of them were, maybe some of it was a bit harsh, but I think that whole thing with Palm there, even her, like, I think it took for a character that we actually know who was on our side to actually see that and feel it, for me to kind of understand, I think. So on some level it makes more sense to me now, I think. Also, that paired with Meruem, what did he say? He said that he was unworthy of their loyalty, which, you know, I mean, that's it shows that, like, how much he really did, like, hold it in high regard. And I actually like that it was almost used as like an in memoriam kind of thing, like they were all dead at that point when he said it, even though that they were completely unaware that what Neferpitou was doing, like, you know, they didn't know. But yeah, I mean, just crazy, man. And yeah, I mean, Komugi willing to go with him is like, I think it's nice, because I think it's better off this way, because it allows, like, for Komugi to, because I mean, let's be honest, if she was to go, like, going back to normal sort of life for her after this wouldn't have been any good. So I think it was better off, like, the way that it sort of went, and she can go out peacefully knowing, and fine with it. Yeah, I think this episode, like, this episode was perfect. I think the culmination for this arc was absolutely unbelievable, and I believe this has got to be like the last episode of the arc, right? It has to be. But yeah, I mean, that was incredible. Really, really enjoyed that episode. So yeah, now I've got to pull myself around and react to episode 136 now. So that's going to be fun. And then I've got My Hero Academia to react after that. So great. Got to pull myself around. Anyway, yeah, so that is all I got for this episode. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that would be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier for $5 a month, gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week. That's 2 on Monday and 2 on Friday. Although by the time this episode comes out on YouTube, I'll be finished the show anyway. So, you know, you can come over, become an early access tier patron, get access to, like, you know, the next 13 episodes, and you can just watch them, you know, as is. Binge watch them all the way through, finish it within a month. It's only going to cost you $5, or you can just wait for them to come out now. You know, I don't know really what's going to happen in these next 13 episodes, if it's just going to, like, tie up some loose ends, if we'll go back to see Kurapika or anything, catch up with them. It'll be nice, because we haven't seen them in a long time now. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to get over. Still feeling it, man. What else? Yeah, so that, yeah, $5 early access. There's also $10 there for full length. That doesn't matter for this show, but for other shows you will need that. And then there are other tiers where you can pay to have a show reacted to. So if you want me to react to a show, go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that's all I've got, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.